Dear listeners, as usual I shall relate to you, based entirely upon the Arabic Muslim sources, the moral characteristics of the alleged best male ever created, who, according to his followers, is their perfect prophet Muhammad. I would like also to address the cult followers of Muhammad, who may be shocked at my revelations, by telling them, do not threaten me with death, destruction, insults, and the torments of Allah's hell. I am only a messenger who is enlightening you with facts based entirely upon your own Arabic scriptural sources, Arabic being my mother's tongue. If right is on your side, all you have to do is to disprove me. Hence I tell you very politely, put up or forever shut up. Ahmad ibn Taymiyyah, the famous Islamic scholar, Allama, theologian and logician, who is referred to as Shaykh al-Islam, a title of superior authority on Islamic knowledge, asserted that there are many false prophets, such as Musaylimah the liar, a contemporary of Muhammad. Taymiyyah concluded that many of these so-called prophets are, in fact, possessed, and that the only way to determine the authenticity of any prophet is by examining his biography, seerah, and deeds, and see if he be found worthy of the title. Let us together use Taymiyyah's parameters regarding Muhammad and find out what the result will be. Muhammad in his Quran forbids his male followers from being in contact with their polluted females when they are in menses, having their period. Al-Baqarah 2.222. They ask thee concerning women's courses, say, they are a hurt and a pollution. So keep away from women in their courses and do not approach them until they are clean. Al-Ma'idah 5.6. O ye who believe, if you are in a state of ceremonial impurity, bathe your whole body. But if you are ill, or on a journey, or one of you cometh from offices of nature, or you have been in contact with women, and you find no water, then take for yourselves clean sand or earth, and rub therewith your faces and hands. According to Muhammad's verse, washing with sand and earth is cleaner than touching a woman. Sahih al-Bukhari 1.319, narrated by Zainab bint Abi Salama. Salama said, I got my menses, nifas, while I was lying with the Prophet under a woolen sheet. So I slipped away, took the clothes for menses and put them on. Allah's Apostle said, have you got your menses? I replied, yes. Then he called me and took me with him under the woolen sheet. Salama further said, the Prophet used to kiss me while he was fasting. The Prophet and I used to take the bath of janaba, meaning ritually impure due to sexual intercourse or semen discharge, from a single pot. Muhammad was rarely averse to breaking each and every one of his instructions to his followers in his Quran. He allowed himself all human liberties while he imposed upon his followers an enormous number of restrictions, reducing their existence to be servile, submissive, and joyless creatures in life in expectation of his promised reward in the afterlife. Sahih al-Bukhari 1.298, narrated by Aisha. The Prophet and I used to take a bath from a single pot while we were junub. During the menses periods, he used to order me to put on an izar, which is a dress worn below the waist, and used to fondle me. While in i'tiqaf, that is reciting the Quran in a solitary manner, he used to bring his head near me, and I would wash it while I used to be in my periods, menses. Sahih al-Bukhari 1.309, narrated by Aisha. None of us had more than a single garment, and we used to have our menses while wearing it. Whenever it was soiled with the blood of menses, we used to apply saliva to the blood spot and rub off the blood with our nails. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 1.497, narrated by Maymuna. The Prophet used to pray while I used to sleep beside him during my periods, menses, and in prostration his garment used to touch me. Sahih al-Bukhari 9.639, narrated by Aisha. The Prophet used to recite the Quran with his head in my lap while I used to be in my periods, having my menses. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 1.299 narrated by Abdul Rahman bin al-Aswad on the authority of his father. Aisha said, whenever Allah's Apostle wanted to fondle any one of us during her periods, menses, he used to order her to put on an izar and start fondling her. Aisha added, none of you could control his sexual desires as the Prophet could. Aisha's statement is interesting since it is obvious that Muhammad could not control his desires, and that is why he needed to enjoy the bodies of his women even when they were polluted. Moreover, based on what experiences did Aisha know about the sexual abilities of other men? Although Muhammad allowed his followers a maximum of 4 wives during his lifetime, it is estimated that he was married to about 66 females. It is recorded that just before he died, he had 9 wives. Muhammad's sexual desires and infidelities are very well documented in the hadiths and are reflected just as faithfully in Muhammad's Quran. On one occasion when Muhammad had the desperate urge to have sex with his beautiful and young Coptic Christian sex slave Maria, he told his wife Hafsa, the daughter of Umar ibn al-Khattab, that her father wanted to see her. She accordingly left the house to do so. It just happened that that was her slotted day to sleep with Muhammad. Knowing him well enough regarding his need to have sex, she had second thoughts and returned to her house to find Muhammad having sex with Maria in her own bed. Justifiably, she got extremely upset and would not be consoled by Muhammad's promise that if she kept her mouth shut about his infidelity, he would not have sex with Maria again. Hafsa told all his wives about his adultery, and they all revolted against his incessant philandering. As usual with Muhammad, he concocted a made-to-order revelation, Surah Al-Tahrim 66.1 to 11, and dropped this alleged new revelation on them, wherein Allah, his ever accomplice in crimes, chastises Muhammad for trying to please his wives by not sleeping around. Hence Allah threatens the wives to get in line, lest Muhammad divorces them and they all end up in his hell. Followers of Muhammad who are listening, be you male or female, what would you honestly do or think if your partner was having illicit sex in your own bed while you had been away and you found them in the act? How could any of you excuse Muhammad's behavior, considering how much you revere and slavishly try to emulate him as a paragon of virtue? Can you ever be honest with yourselves when reading about Muhammad's dissolute characteristics, not written by Zionists, Jews, Christians, Hindus, or even enemies of Islam, but based entirely upon the Arabic Islamic sources only? For how long and how far are you willing to delude yourselves by denying all facts and realities? Even the young teenage Aisha was able to repeat one of the most astute statements in all of the hadiths whenever Muhammad concocted one of his made-to-order revelations by saying to him, Al-Suyuti, Volume 6, page 629, verily your Lord Allah is ever quick to fulfill your whims and desires. Bukhari, Volume 6, Book 60, number 311, narrated by Aisha. I used to look down upon those ladies who had given themselves to Allah's Apostle, and I used to say, can a lady give herself to a man? But when Allah revealed, you, O Muhammad, can postpone the turn of whom you will, of them, your wives, and you may receive any of them whom you will, and there is no blame on you if you invite one whose turn you have set aside temporarily. 33.51 I said to the Prophet, I feel that your Lord hastens in fulfilling your wishes and desires. Allah managed to hand down quite a few made-to-order revelations that sanctions Muhammad's personal pursuit of sex to the doubters around him. Interestingly, they have become part of the eternal, infallible word of the Quran, to be memorized by generations of Muslims for whom they have no possible relevance. Al-Ahzab 33.37 But when Zayd had accomplished his want of her, we gave her to you as a wife, so that there should be no difficulty for the believers in respect of the wives of their adopted sons, when they have accomplished their want of them, and that Allah's command shall be performed. No doubt, millions of young Muslims trying to outdo one another at memorizing the Quran may have wondered about what this verse means and why it is there. In fact, this is another revelation of convenience that Allah just happened to hand down at a time when Muhammad lusted after his daughter-in-law Zainab, a state of affairs that disturbed local customs. The verse commands Muhammad to marry Zainab, following her husband's gracious divorce. As for why these verses regarding Muhammad's personal lusts should be part of the eternal word of Allah is for you to think about.